Call of Duty in 2024, adult Fortnite. Maybe not as bad as the lazy AI nonsense that they've been pulling in Black Ops 6 that's causing actors to quit. Maybe. While we maybe cannot change that, 40% of you can hit that subscribe button below if you maybe, hopefully wish to stay tuned into some of the best gaming news and coverage. Dragon Age Veilguard's performance has been met to silence from BioWare and EA, kinda telling. One developer, that being Warhorse's Daniel Vavra, one of the leaders of the studio, took a victory lap with their older game Kingdom Come Deliverance having more concurrent players than the big new AAA blockbuster fantasy game from BioWare. This post created a meltdown, and Vavra clarified he was just happy to see the success of their older game compared to a big budget behemoth, and that he wasn't trying to be in the middle of the culture war. As was leaked months ago, Suicide Squad is coming to an end. The superhero live service had ambitions to exist for years to come, but won't even make it to 1 year before it's shut down. The latest update brought Deathstroke to the game as a playable character. Its post-launch support has been nothing short of nauseating, and that's not even mentioning the forgettable mediocreness of its base game experience. A live service flop slop that we all saw coming, except maybe Rocksteady that spent nearly a decade on it, and Warner Brothers that lost hundreds of millions of dollars funding it. Ouch. Borderlands 4 will cut back on the toilet humor and meme references, says narrative director. Yeah, that's the headline. Looks like Gearbox realizes that Borderlands 3 was extremely cringe and hurt by that fact. Remains to be seen if Borderlands 4 will re-energize the franchise, but finding out that there won't be skibbity, toilet, and Hawk-Tuah references, it's a step in the right direction, I suppose. Hopefully, sweaty, delusional CEO Randy Pitchford that compared the god-awful Borderlands movie to the Beatles doesn't stiff his staff out of their promised bonuses this time around. But before we continue, thank you to Grand Roleplay for supporting the channel by sponsoring this video. Grand Roleplay is a free-to-play GTA 5 roleplay server. Plunge into the unforgettable atmosphere of roleplay on Grand RP today, featuring a developed system of factions, a massive fleet of cars, hundreds of clothing styles to accommodate any type of fashion, a friendly community, and can be played with just a few clicks. Head to the link in the description down below, sign up on the website, create your character, and register using my link, and you'll also receive a premium vehicle of your choosing. Not only that, when you use my link, you'll also get a bonus of in-game currency in VIP status for a boosted start. Thank you again to Grand Roleplay for supporting this video. Learn more by clicking the link in the description down below and signing up today for free. Sticking with Grand Theft Auto, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg recently ignited flames by repeating a report he made in 2022 in which he revealed Rockstar was aiming to be less offensive this time around with Grand Theft Auto 6. Not necessarily a big shock, as Rockstar in recent years has patched out some smaller controversial aspects of GTA 5, a move met to the ire of their community. Schreier did specify that Rockstar is asking its writers to be less crude towards transgender people and other minorities, which has raised concerns and outrage that the game's humor will be more safe and controlled, a criticism that is not going away. This recent report from Schreier wasn't a new one. He clarified this on the Kinda Funny podcast, stating he was asked by Bloomberg to talk about 2025 in gaming and used largely his previous insights that he shared in 2022 for this article. Schreier, however, did provide a couple of interesting tidbits about the industry's reaction to GTA 6, such as other major AAA publishers delaying and not giving release dates for their upcoming games until they have clarity of when GTA 6 is coming out. As we saw years ago with Red Dead Redemption 2, publishers fear launching anywhere near a new Rockstar release, which in this case GTA 6 is the most highly anticipated game ever. And on that note, right now GTA 6 is scheduled for fall 2025, but publishers are waiting for a specific date or if the game slips to 2026. Schreier, when asked if he believes it will release next year, he had this to say.
Anything I say is going to be aggregated on Reddit. I would be shocked if it actually made it next year. I think that it will probably slip again because Rockstar games always slip.
The pressure is on. GTA 6 needs to have a perfect launch. This is a game that Rockstar is relying on to make them billions for the next decade or so. And I've reported as much before, some devs do not expect this game to launch next year. This has been a sentiment that I've heard since earlier this year. It has now been over a year since our last official update from Rockstar on GTA 6. Right now it's just a waiting game for really anything to come from them, whether that be a trailer or a news post. Regardless, we should be hearing something soon. And another Rockstar franchise that is actively being worked on is Max Payne. Remedy, of course, working on remakes of the first 2 games, and a few weeks ago provided an encouraging update saying that they are making good progress and seeking nothing less than excellence with this project and to deliver well against the very high expectations set by Rockstar and themselves. These Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes entered full production a few months ago, so likely it will be a few years before we see these games hit the finish line. Ubisoft has been nothing short of a disaster in 2024, with it appearing that the company could be going private soon, with Tencent maybe gaining controlling interests of the company moving forward. Stock trading was temporarily halted recently as buyout negotiations are ongoing between both parties. Ubisoft's problems, though, have only continued, with their Call of Duty competitor X-Defiant shutting down along with a couple of Ubisoft studios, hundreds of devs out of jobs. X-Defiant's executive producer Mark Rubin for weeks had denied rumors that their free-to-play shooter was struggling and nearing death, but as insider Tom Henderson pointed out, Rubin was simply lying and knew for quite some time where this was headed. Henderson in recent days has reported new information on another massive Ubisoft franchise, that being Far Cry, with 2 games in active development, both delayed from 2025 to now 2026, both making the move to the Snowdrop engine, both said to be changing up the franchise's formula with a new movement system that includes tactical sprinting, sliding, and vaulting. Far Cry 7's story structure is said to be quite different, with it having a 24-hour time limit equal to 72 hours in-game, reflected on a watch that the player wears, and which involves our player having to rescue his family, who have been kidnapped by a conspiracy cult that have been performing hallucinogenic experiments on animals and children. Very Far Cry-esque. We've seen this for the last couple of entries. The other Far Cry game is said to be an extraction-based shooter that takes place in the Alaskan wilderness with a focus on the harsh environment. All of these details are subject to change as external playtesting began a few months ago, but whether either project sees the light of day depends on what happens to Ubisoft, as the company is on the verge of a collapse, and it's unclear what will or won't happen once Tencent or someone else gains control. Something will change, likely with many layoffs and projects cancelled. If you were curious if Nintendo's legal action against Palworld was having an impact, look no further than Palworld recently removing the ability to summon pals by throwing spears. This was one of Nintendo's patents that they alleged Palworld infringed on, and it looks like Pocket Pair the devs is starting to have to change the game to ensure that they don't get swallowed up by Nintendo's giant legal team. I would not be surprised to see more changes to come. This was always Nintendo's goal, to instill fear in competition and have dominance over truly basic game mechanics. Truly unfortunate precedent being set here. One of the big breakout releases of the year has been Balatro, a roguelike poker game that has garnered a little bit of controversy because it was amongst some of the games nominated for Game of the Year that some felt that it was undeserving and felt like games like Stellar Blade, Space Marine 2, and some other experiences probably should have got nominated over it. Regardless, if you check on Steam, this is one of the most highly rated games. It's just an addictive, fun experience, 99% positive reviews, just a really fun time. And the other day we saw the developer go after Electronic Arts and really Peggy, one of the rating agencies, I believe in Europe, in which they gave the game an 18 rating, but what he's more upset about is the fact that EA Sports FC is rated 3+. Specifically, Local Thunk, the developer behind Balatro, took to his social media in a viral post saying, "Since Peggy gave us an 18+ rating for having evil playing cards, maybe I should add microtransactions / loot boxes / real gambling to lower that rating to 3+, like EA Sports FC." And then he obviously put up in another tweet, "This is comedy, Balatro, EA Sports FC," comparing their Peggy pages. And this is indeed the corruption of how all this works. Electronic Arts and many of these other AAA publishers have fought tooth and nail to ensure that their gambling simulators aren't treated that way by rating, agencies like Peggy, like the ESRB. At most, we've got an in-game purchase, I believe, that label on, loot box games and such. But this is one of those things that's just, it's been met to controversy. We've seen lawmakers face off with representatives from companies like EA, NBA 2K, and so on and so forth, and it's gone nowhere because lobbyism money talks. It is worth mentioning that Local Thunk did clarify in a follow-up tweet saying, just to clear it up, I am way more irked at the 3+ for these games with actual gambling mechanics for children than I am about Balatro having an 18+ rating. If these other games were rated properly, I'd happily accept that Weirdo or the Weirdo 18+. The red logo looks kinda dope. And the big thing about all of this is that it is indeed psychologically akin to gambling. There's been multiple studies over the years, but lobbyism has defeated any efforts of any sort of regulation, and self-regulation is just not going to happen when these companies are making billions upon billions of dollars. And there's been multiple incidents over the years in which children have spent like $10, $11, $12,000 of their parents' money. And again, these publishers are not going to take any accountability with any of this. And in the past, we've seen them comparing it to baseball cards, Kinder Eggs, but they don't want to talk about gambling, and there's a reason why. The Game Awards definitely had its moments this year. Astro Bot, of course, took home the honors of Game of the Year, and as we explored in a separate video, the Black Myth team were not happy about it. Missed that video? Check it out. Ken Kutagari, the father of PlayStation, also got a nice moment that was partially ruined by the fact that it looks like he thought he was going to get time to speak. No, no, no. Kojima showed up, dripped out, and kind of dipped out immediately as well. Xbox had its stupid-ass everything is an Xbox marketing ad on display, which really does feel like a last-ditch effort to be relevant in the platform race. Harrison Ford made a surprise appearance alongside part of the indie game team of Todd Howard and Troy Baker. It was a cool moment, even though Ford probably has never touched a video game in his life. Same as Al Pacino a few years ago. Baldur's Gate 3 boss Sven Vink gave a powerful speech against AAA publisher greed that is hurting both developers and players. While accepting Best Adaptation, Jonathan Nolan boldly thanked Fallout New Vegas fans for not burning his house down and said that they would be happy that they didn't, which, stomping into any territory previously explored and canonizing certain events, that's just not going to go down well. I think he's dead wrong, just as it didn't in Season 1, so we'll certainly see, I suppose. But also, Jesus Christ, we should probably be talking about this a bit more. The disparity is just insane. Now, the Game Awards was full of a ton of announcements. We talked about some of the games earlier on in this video with news related to them, but we also got the surprise announcement from Software of Elden Ring Night Rain, and there's been some interesting details shared about this experience in the days since the Game Awards, specifically that it is a standalone adventure set in the Elden Ring universe. It doesn't appear to be canon, especially because it includes other aspects from Dark Souls and such. It's said to be a 3-player co-op survival action roguelike. You can play single player, 3-player. There is no duo, which is just very funny. You can choose from 8 predefined characters with unique abilities and ultimates. It's not game as a service, priced around the same as Shadow of the Erdtree. It's set on a modified version of Limgrave, Limveld, ever-changing map, and you're supposed to survive a 3-day and night cycle with bosses that come at the end of some of these nights. And it definitely sounds like a very fun, big surprise experience that's going to be coming in 2025 to PS5, PS4, Xbox, and PC. Another surprise that got my attention immediately because it seemed to be like Game of Thrones Season 8 but rewritten from maybe our player perspective, but no, it's a Game of Thrones action RPG for mobile devices. Unfortunate. Another big announcement, probably one of my most anticipated games of 2025, has to be Mafia: The Old Country. We also have found out since the Game Awards that it's going to be taking place in the brutal criminal underworld of 1900 Sicily. It's said to be a linear narrative-driven focus package Mafia game. It sounds like a little bit more like Mafia 2 rather than Mafia 3, probably the right direction. It will feature dangerous combat systems with high-stakes grounded stealth and gunplay mechanics. You play as Enzo, a new original protagonist, in a time when skill with a stiletto blade was a deadly asset, a Lupara sawed-off shotgun was a go-to firearm, murderous vendettas raged for decades, and mafiosi patrolled their protection rackets on foot, horseback, or behind the wheel of turn-of-the-century motorcars. Enzo has survived a childhood of indentured labor in Sicily's hellish sulfur mines. He gains an opportunity to join the powerful Don Turrisi, a crime family, to carve out a better life. Swearing that oath means commitment to the Turrisi family code of honor, where family takes sacrifice, a story-driven experience that I'm just extremely excited for. And indeed, one of the other big surprises that was shown was The Outer Worlds 2. It does appear that Obsidian Entertainment is going to be having 2 releases in 2025, Avowed obviously coming in February, The Outer Worlds 2 probably sometime in the fall, assuming that there's no delays or anything along those lines. It does sound like it's going to be 2 times bigger, and what's more interesting about this is the fact that The Outer Worlds is not going to be an exclusive. It was originally labeled that way when it was announced a couple of years ago, but indeed it is coming to the PlayStation 5. And this has created conversation and some insiders reporting that Xbox's strategy has officially changed. Xbox insider Jez Corden has said that Xbox exclusives will be the exception rather than the rule, which kind of makes sense with the whole marketing campaign of Xbox is everywhere. It does appear that Xbox is now just going to be a multi-platform third-party publisher, which how that affects, Xbox consoles moving into the future, that's a good question. So games like Starfield, I imagine that they probably are inevitably going to be making its way to PlayStation. Same can be said for games like the Elder Scrolls 6 that's going to be coming in the next couple of years, but the question mark still remains for other, games that have been typically just on Xbox, like Halo and Gears. That's going to be very interesting to see how this works, whether Microsoft wants to make sure that it's still just exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. But times definitely are changing, and Microsoft, especially with the billions that they've invested, obviously it looks like they want a return on that investment. Yet another big surprise of the Game Awards was Hideki Kamiya coming back, forming a new studio, and surprisingly announcing Okami 2. This was just a massive shock. It even had Jeff Keighley almost in tears, which I thought that was a little bit of a overreaction. But yeah, Okami definitely means a lot to people. And we did see Hideki Kamiya being asked on Twitter if the Okami trailer used AI, and Kamiya responded, "Don't ask such pointless questions, you idiot, go away." Which, if you know anything about Kamiya, this is just right in his wheelhouse. He's back. This is him. The Witcher 4 trailer, since its announcement and big reveal, has garnered quite the reaction, and it's been heavily debated online. I have a separate video going over a lot of the new details that we have learned, but in the hours and days since that video, we have learned a couple of other details. Adam Badowski, the studio head, did come out with a statement, which seemingly is a response to some of the accusations that they're not being faithful to the lore. Badowski saying on his Twitter account, "Dear, if you're wondering how Ciri may be on the path as a Witcher, well, there's the story of The Witcher 4 to tell that tale. Huge thank you for the respect and love for the lore created by Andrzej Sapkowski. Hugs." And I will say the rather interesting thing that some people have been pointing out is that Sapkowski visited CD Projekt Red about a year and a half ago. What does that encounter mean? Did he play any role in the creation of the story for Ciri? Because I think a lot of people forget that the games are they're not at all following the books. There's certain elements and aspects that they do follow, but the games really, they're a sequel in many regards to the books, and they kind of do their things with a lot of different aspects. So them staying faithful to the lore, it's just something that CD Projekt Red hasn't entirely done, but there's still elements that have been canonized even by them, such as no female becoming a Witcher, and obviously Ciri undergoing the trial of the grasses that no female has ever done, and no adult has really ever done. Only 2 out of 10 boys, as far as I understand or remember, with which Laura ever survived that horrific trial. And why she would pursue something, being that she's so OP, she could travel between space and time. There's just a lot of questions with The Witcher 4, and them honoring the lore is something that has been heavily debated online. Many people saying that, this new Lynx house, watch it just be an all-female Witcher house that doesn't make any sense. A lot of questions and a lot of doubts with CD Projekt Red right now. We have also gotten some other encouraging updates on The Witcher 4, such as Gwent, that awesome mini-game, a game within a game in Witcher 3, is in fact returning. It turned into its own standalone thing, but it is coming back, and I just love the idea, the possibility of going through a whole tournament, and then maybe Ciri and Geralt have to face off. It would just be awesome. But in regards to the actual gameplay and the map of The Witcher 4, we did see Sebastian Columba, the game director, open up a little bit about this. He said the Witcher 4 map will be more or less the same size as The Witcher 3, that's more than enough. The Witcher 3 map was ginormous, and seeing them go this route again and, not doing the Ubisoft thing in which bigger, that's perfectly fine in my opinion. Now, in regards to the setting of The Witcher 4, CD Projekt Red did reveal that the game is going to be set to the far north. How far north, we don't entirely know, but it can be assumed that if this isn't Northern Redania, this remote village within the trailer, it could be in Kraden, Kovir, or Provis. So definitely some interesting possibilities, but we are definitely getting some new regions within The Witcher 4. Now, while the landmass of The Witcher 4 may not be bigger, CD Projekt Red has already declared that their ambitions with the sequel are bigger and better than ever. They've already said that they want to make an even better game than The Witcher 3. Those are lofty, sky-high expectations. They've said that there's certain parts of The Witcher 4 that they want it to be even bigger, and in those areas they have to be referring to the combat side, which, say what you will, The Witcher 3 has been criticized, and many people have said that the combat has just not aged all that well, and also the choices and consequences. Those are areas in which you could expand on and make even better with this sequel, and areas in which I think a lot of people care more so in this present day than ever before. Along with, of course, good storytelling, but that's kind of a given, and something that CD Projekt Red, say what you will, they've been consistent with that for the last decade or so, even amidst all the controversy. And another big piece of news, this was something noticeable within the trailer as well, and one of the things that got me scratching my head, it was the fact that CD Projekt Red has in fact recast Ciri for The Witcher 4. Specifically in the past, notably within The Witcher 3, Ciri was voiced by Joe Wyatt, who played again Ciri in The Witcher 3, and rather this time she will be played by Chara Berkeley, whose voice was in the cinematic trailer, and they confirmed that yes, she will be Ciri in the rest of the game as well. In a statement, CD Projekt Red said that Berkeley was cast as Ciri for The Witcher 4 cinematic reveal trailer. Chiara is a talented actress who impressed us with her enthusiasm and vocal acting skills, and in the trailer we believe she truly brought out Ciri to life in a way that is both faithful to the character and exciting for fans of the series. Why they changed the actor, it's not entirely clear, but it has been also pointed out that the Polish actress who played Ciri has also been recasted, so maybe this is something to do with the fact that they're, this is supposed to be a couple of years after The Witcher 3, and I guess they wanted a different sounding actress or something. Regardless, I am a little bit disappointed by this revelation, but again, there's just so much unknown about The Witcher 4 and the direction that they are taking Ciri in this franchise. Now, without a doubt, the biggest game that was shown at the Game Awards is what Naughty Dog has been cooking up for the last 4 years, and my god has it garnered way more of a reaction than even The Witcher 4, and that is Intergalactic, a new franchise sci-fi IP from Naughty Dog. Again, they've been working on it for a couple of years now. They had this giant reveal trailer that kind of fell flat, and that's honestly my assessment based on this trailer. As you can see here, we meet our new protagonist. There's nothing really distinctly about her there's nothing about this trailer that stands out to me. It has that Akira 1980s vibe. That's definitely what they were going for. There's even some Easter eggs here that clearly hint at that, and it definitely looks very photorealistic. Toddy Gabriel obviously playing the protagonist here, and the reaction though has been, well, yeah, 215,000 dislikes. That is insane. And as people have wrote in the comments, this trailer is 2 hours ago. Ew, it's so old, we need a remaster. Obviously, jokes at Naughty Dog. And on that joke, it is worth mentioning that Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann did respond to complaints about these remasters and remakes, which we just keep on getting over and over again. Neil Druckmann saying to the New York Times, "It's really hard to work on these things in secret and silence for so many years, and then you see fans go on social media and say, enough with the remasters and remakes. Where are your new games and new IPs?" Which, again, I think we're just tired of seeing The Last of Us remastered for every single platform. It's the same way people feel about Skyrim at this point. But it is worth mentioning, again, more comments. The most surprising thing about this trailer is that Sony left the comments on. They sell hair as a separate DLC. Sony secretly enjoying all the comments, so they left it on. I feel like Will Smith will slap me for making fun of her. From the studio who brought you Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, and Uncharted, nice. How many of they still work there? And probably not many, honestly, at this point. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Is this modern audience here in the room with us, Mr. Druckmann? And again, a lot of the hate for this experience is on Naughty Dog and who they have become, and a lot of people feeling burned from The Last of Us Part 2, so that trust just isn't there with this experience. And from the trailer, there's nothing that really stood out to me. We do see a little gameplay moment at the end. I guess that looks interesting at the very least. I'm definitely going to give this game a chance at the very least. I'm not solidified with my opinion that, oh my god, it's going to be horrible, a forgettable experience. Even though with The Last of Us Part 2, I found enjoyable aspects, even though, as most of you know, one of my reviews was one of the most criticals at the time, in which I didn't really care for a lot of what Naughty Dog was cooking up with it. I felt the story was quite a mess, and that's my worry with this time around. And we have seen individuals already changing out the main character as they have many issues with it. People saying that, they're redesigning it. Here's a couple of examples that have gone viral on social media. And then we have also seen some games even making their own versions of the trailer. This one saying slurp, and this is from Spine, Gunfu game, and one of the developers responding to a comment that says at least 1,000 times better. Just added your game to my wish list. The developer saying thank you for your support of the smaller project. We're here having fun and hope Intergalactic will be as exciting as Spine. We did even see the Stellar Blade developer, the main man behind that, the CEO, the director, saying, "Thank you for warmly welcoming me, Neil Druckmann. Intergalactic was absolutely fantastic." We also saw, again, an outlining of details that came afterwards, in which the game is said to be starring Jordan A. Munn. That is the main protagonist, the bald character, that again just looks very generic. We don't know anything about her. I will say the design just doesn't do anything for me. It's said to be the deepest gameplay in Naughty Dog history, which kind of sounds like what we've heard in the past. Some leaks and rumors have indicated that they're going to be giving us more player freedom than ever. What that means, we'll see. Jordan is said to be a bounty hunter who ends up stranded on the planet Semperia. It's a distant planet whose communication with the outside universe went dark hundreds of years ago. Jordan will have to use all her skills and wits if she hopes to be the first person in over 600 years to leave its orbit. Jordan is played by Toddy Gabriel, which I've only seen her in a couple of performances, notably the 100. Not a huge fan of her, but we'll see what happens. And the score is said to be composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And again, this project has been in development for about 4 years now, since 2020. And Neil Druckmann did give some further details on the direction that they are taking with the story of this new franchise. And he specifically told the New York Times that Intergalactic, the heretic prophet, will center around a fictional religion, which religions in The Last of Us Part 2, I didn't really care how they handled that. Again, just a lot of that story was a mess in my opinion. But with the New York Times, he said he called it ambitious and said the story will explore what happens when you put your faith in different institutions. And we'll see what happens with this game, but it will be the most controversial game moving forward. And yes, that has everything to do with Naughty Dog's history, and I just don't think that this trailer did enough to change or really give anybody an opinion about this game. I think if you really enjoy Naughty Dog's experiences, especially The Last of Us Part 2, you'll probably be anticipating this. For somebody who was let down by that game, I have to see more. I have to see some actual gameplay. And the little teases here, the little story tidbits just did absolutely nothing for me at this point. And even the protagonist, there's just nothing I can make about that. I see her sucking on a straw, she's going on a bounty hunting mission, and that's pretty much it. Hard to gain an opinion from that. Now to our final news story of the day, we do have the fact that a couple of weeks ago we talked about Blizzard doing a pretty interesting and nice thing. It was the fact that they were fully remastering Warcraft 1 and 2. This was part of the Warcraft 30th anniversary celebration, an event that I was actually complimentary towards, and yeah, at the time they said these remasters have brand new hand-drawn visuals that capture the original art style from each game, and you'll be able to swap between the original graphics and the remastered versions in real time, said a senior manager of Warcraft RTS, which actually sounded pretty amazing at the time. It wasn't, this overly ambitious project like Warcraft 3 Reforged, which ended up being a disaster. It was just nice to see. But unfortunately, I should have held those compliments because Blizzard did scummy shit afterwards. What do I mean by that is the fact that Blizzard delisted Warcraft 1 and 2 from GOG, but GOG did some nice things here. And GOG, if you don't know, they are a company owned by CD Projekt. That storefront I actually really do enjoy, and they've done some amazing things over the years. But yes, Blizzard acted swiftly to put an end to the scourge of people not spending $40. That's the reason why this remaster exists in its first place, and they delisted it. The studio delisted the original versions of those games from GOG, ensuring no innocent consumer will accidentally pick up DRM-free classic editions of those games for $15 when they could be spending a bunch more in Blizzard's own storefront, which that's sarcasm. And if you already own the games or buy them before the 13th, you won't lose access. This has been confirmed by GOG. GOG actually launched a discount code at the time, which no longer is valid because they've now been delisted, Make Warcraft Live Forever, that you can use to knock $2 off the Warcraft 1 and 2 bundle, and again, if you picked it up before it was delisted. Now, this is where things get really awesome, in my opinion, that GOG, CD Projekt, the company, did. Warcraft 1 and 2 were only just about to be inducted into the GOG Preservation Program, the store's scheme to use its own devs to keep a select list of golden oldies running on modern hardware for generations to come. That is a big move, something we're not seeing from anybody else. That is awesome, and it makes GOG stand out in a favorable manner, in my opinion. Now, what does it mean for GOG's pledge if a game on its list is no longer purchasable on its store, like what's happened here, Blizzard forcing this? Well, props to GOG. It's promising to keep maintaining Warcraft in perpetuity for everyone who picked it up before the delisting. That is awesome. Once the game obtains a badge, we pledge to maintain its compatibility even if it gets delisted from the store. It says this means that owners of those titles can still expect a seamless experience and tech support for those titles, up to and including dealing with changes to Windows that muck with old games' playability. Again, we're not seeing for this from Steam or anybody else. It's just awesome. This move by GOG, especially because Blizzard did a scummy move here, and GOG hit back with something that it's truly brilliant in my opinion. And again, this is their social media posts going over it, and they put it in bold, making sure that everybody knows this is their mission statement moving forward in this regard. And this is one of the reasons why I do order a lot of my PC games on GOG. This is another reason why I think this platform stands out favorably to the competition, and we need more of this from this industry. We're not getting enough of it. Anyway, a lot going on in the video game industry here before we end 2024. Some good and yet some controversial. But what do you make of everything that has been going on? The Game Awards, we got a ton of announcements and a lot of reactions. Let me know your thoughts on everything down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.